thank you for deciding to spend some time with us here. Hopefully you'll have some time afterwards to be outside a little bit, or did before you came. So welcome to all those who are joining us virtually as well. And again, thank you for being with us today. So I know that most of you probably are aware of this already, but last Thursday, our wonderful Reverend Taylor Swan made his transition. And he and Stella are sitting right out here. I know they are. But I'd like to take this time before we start our service to remember him. So I invite you to please close your eyes and just take a deep breath. And let's bring our dear Taylor into our minds and into our hearts as we pray together, divine love, source of all life. Our wonderful Taylor lived a life of loving service, and we all have been beneficiaries, receiving so many blessings individually and our fellowship community as a whole. So let's just take this moment to remember Taylor as he lived, smiling and joking and vital, helping, serving. And remember how his life touched your life, and how his life touched our community. And let's just take a moment to silently add your own prayer for Taylor, his family, and all who loved him. And there are so many. So many that are hurting and missing him. So we'll just take a silent moment. And together we say, and so it is. Thank you so much. I have a reading for you today from Practicing the Power of Now, written by Eckhart Tolle. And he writes, surrender is the end of the mind as your master. The imposter pretending to be you, the false God. All judgment and all negativity dissolve. The realm of being, with a capital B, which had been obscured by the mind, then opens up. Suddenly a great stillness arises within you, an unfathomable sense of peace. And within that peace, there is great joy. And within that joy, there is love. And at the innermost core, there is the sacred, the immeasurable, that which cannot be named. So beautiful. So we are going to please stand and sing a fellowship song together. Get your songbooks and turn to page 26. We're going to let it go.
Let it go, only
Very nice, very nice. A little bit peppier than last week. And so, oh, I'm sorry, but while you're still standing, let's turn to each other and give each other a nice namaste. And now we have some beautiful, beautiful music from Maury and Tanika.
Leonard Cohen to Dance into the End of Love.
Dance me to your beauty with the parting violin. Dance me through the panic till I'm gathered safely in. Lift me like an olive branch and be my homeward dawn. And dance me to the end of love. Dance me to the end of love. Let me see your beauty when the witnesses are gone. Let me feel you moving like they do in Babylon. Show me slowly what I am in all the liquid tongue. And dance me to the end of love. Dance me to the end of love.
the time in our service when we stop and bless our tithes and offerings. We stop and take a moment to be grateful for all of the blessings and gifts in our own lives. We know that abundance is the flow of divine energy. And A Course in Miracles teaches us that giving and receiving are one in truth. So as you are preparing your donation, or if you donate online, just hold that in consciousness. And for those that are watching virtually, there's an easy way to donate online as well. And we'll just hold that in our minds and vision of thriving and flourishing fellowship community. And I ask that you all join me as we read together the blessing of our tithes and offerings on your bulletin. The light of divine love shines eternally, blessing and multiplying our tithes and offerings. I joyously give, knowing I always have enough to share and to spare. Thank you for your generosity. And we're going to stand up and sing one more fellowship song together. It's on page 37. It's called Sing Your Song. And as I looked down and saw the name of the song, it occurred to me that Taylor definitely sang his own song. And we all appreciated that so much.
Sing your song, sing your song, sing it loud and clear and strong. And if the world doesn't seem to understand, that's okay.
you this afternoon. He always has so much wonderful information to share. I'm just going to suggest that you might want to get out your little pencil from your envelope and take a few notes, just an idea. So let's give Bill Dietrich a really, really warm welcome.
You need to talk first, and then meditation. So I hope you'll accompany the meditation. Hi. Good to see all of you in person. It's been 2 years since I stood up here. Probably every speaker you have can say that. And it's nice to be back. Though I did have the privilege of speaking online through at the office, so that was good. But this is better, seeing all of you in person. No offense, people who work at home watching us. Anyway, during the 2 years, I've been very busy. And I want to take a moment, if you'll indulge me, to tell you about that. I published 3 books in those 2 years. The first one took 5 years to write, and I brought them today. They're out there in the, whatever you call that area. Lobby, okay. Yeah, and 40% of any sales that I may have go to the fellowship. This one is Aftermath. It's a biblical novel about Mary Magdalene and Thomas and Judas. Lots of study and research into that. So I think you'll like it. It fits with this time of year because it's Easter or Resurrection Sunday next week. Some of you are familiar with this one already, Spiritual Adulthood. This is nonfiction. And it's about waking up and growing up. Spiritual intelligence and emotional intelligence. And lastly, this is very dear to me, Intimacy. Play on words, of course. It's about a girl from her point of view. Don't ask me how I wrote a book from a girl's point of view, but somehow I did it. And some women I know were amazed. That a guy could write from a girl's point of view. Anyway, it's about her growing up, somewhat waking up, and finding her voice, starting when she's at age 12. Written in the first person present, so you experience her life with her as she tells you about it. It's fascinating. Thank you for allowing me to tell you about those. My topic today is called Lent is for Surrender. Lent is a season of letting go, of surrender. It's a time for fasting. Charles Fillmore wrote in his book, Keep a True Lent, that it's not about fasting from things or from foods or that sort of thing, but it's for fasting from self-criticism and criticism of others. It's for letting go of negativity and pain. And it's for feasting on thoughts of God and of love. As you all know, Lent begins on Ash Wednesday, which was during March, I think. It continues to Easter, which some refer to as Resurrection Sunday. And it's loosely based on the biblical idea of 40 days. In the Bible, you have Elijah and Moses, who had 40-day fast. Moses did it twice, because the first time when he downloaded the Ten Commandments onto his tablets, he broke them. And so he had to go back and do it again. And then, of course, 2 of the Gospels show Jesus having a 40-day fast at the beginning of his ministry. So Fillmore said that it's about completion. That's what the whole 40-day thing is about. It's a foundation for something to follow. However, Lent is actually 45 days. Now, how does that work out? It's because Lent is actually a church-made thing. It's not biblical. And it came out of, there were many versions of fasting, but it came out of the Council of Nicaea in 325, where they established this thing called Lent. And people have practiced it ever since then, in various ways. But why is it 45 days? It's because they don't count Sundays. Which means, if you gave up chocolate, you can have it on Sundays. And there are some chocolate pieces out in the places. However, I do give up sweets, but I don't take Sundays off because then I have to start all over again on Monday, and it's just easier to keep it going, you know? So similar to Advent prior to Christmas, Lent's a season of preparation, which we cleanse the mind and body, and to recall that which is of spirit. Advent prepares us for the birth of the Christ again at Christmas. Lent prepares us for the rebirth of the Christ, or the resurrection. It's the resurrection of the mind from its darkness, its false beliefs, that it may enter the light of true understanding. And those are some words from Charles Fillmore. So a true Lent, then, is to fast from negative thoughts, from condemnation and criticism of self and others. It's to fast from lack and limitation, and to fast from ideas of disease and weakness, and to feast on thoughts of abundance, beauty, joy, and love. It's the time to feast on thoughts of wholeness and wellness, and on connection and union with God, God within us, God all around us. And Fillmore wrote, when we withdraw our attention, interest, and support from the false and the unworthy, this is true fasting. When we give our attention instead to the enduring good, we are then feasting upon the things of spirit. This is true prayer. For the past 25 years, or maybe even longer, I fasted from processed sugar each Lenten season. Why? Well, it's good for me physically, emotionally, and spiritually. It's good for my body to give it a break from those kinds of things. Other than my liking for things like chocolate and sugar and ice cream, I do eat well, and I eat very healthy, but I do like those things. But it's good to set it aside for a while and let my body have a break. But I notice that when I don't eat sugary snacks, that I feel emotion with greater intensity. Maybe some of you have noticed that if you've fasted or if you've given up eating the sugary things. Sugar tends to insulate me from feeling emotion. But feeling emotions more intensely is a great opportunity to let them go. It's a human tendency, of course, to avoid feelings, especially ones that are uncomfortable. And when we avoid those, of course, they stay with us. We're stuck with them. Consider this. And this actually is an idea that came from the writings of David Hawkins. Painful feelings that seem stuck in us are there because we haven't felt them enough. Sounds kind of counterintuitive, doesn't it? For example, when we feel grief, the feeling brings up all the unresolved grief from our whole life and all our previous lifetimes. That's why it hits so hard sometimes. It's unresolved because we didn't feel it enough. The solution is to feel it more rather than avoid it. We've all felt grief. And I've certainly spent a lot of time with people in grief, being a person who does memorial services. And it shakes you up. It whips you around, and you never know when it's going to show up. But it is important to feel it. Anger is a common issue with people. And if it's an issue, it needs to be felt more. Go into a room and feel it. Sit with it. Scream and yell and be a pillow. Give it to someone else, of course, does not help. Dumping it on people is not what I'm suggesting. Admitting that you're angry, that's a healthy thing. I'm suggesting that you dive into the feeling without necessarily aiming it at anyone or anything. Notice how anger feels in your body. What are the sensations that are there? It's the same with grief. Notice how it feels. The idea here is not to feed it with thoughts, but just feel the feeling. And that makes a difference. Because the more, if you keep feeding it with thoughts, you're just keeping it going. And in some ways, you're resisting the feeling itself. So whatever the emotion is, whether it's grief or anger, depression or sadness, whatever it may be, frustration, when it comes up, let yourself feel it. More on that in a moment. By letting yourself feel it, you let it out, you let it go, as we just sang in the song. If you can't shake your sadness, it's because you haven't been sad enough. And that may sound terrible to some of us, but I'm saying welcome to the sadness. Feel it fully. Breathe. Hold that sadness or that anger or the grief into your heart center, and embrace it. For your heart holds the whole universe. It's a spacious place. It's a vast space. When you accept and embrace pain and discomfort, it loses its control over you. It's no longer in charge because you're no longer resisting it. You can do this with both emotional and physical pain. Well, what about in my fasting, that gnawing feeling for a sweet snack, that yearning for the comfort of a piece of chocolate or a bowl of ice cream? Well, for me, I just sit with it, make friends with my hunger or seeming hunger, and just feel it. What about the pain of loss? Well, I think about grief again. We feel it because we lost someone we love. And we've also been attached to having that person in our life. You don't need to let go of the love. Love that person dearly, deeply, forever. You do need to let go of the attachment. In your own time, of course. And letting go of the attachment allows you to move on. To embrace life as it is now. Finding new and renewed relationships. Learning to love oneself unconditionally. Still holding in your heart the ones that you've lost, but no longer attached to their physical presence. So again, it's important to feel it. No matter how terrible it seems to be, but I find that there is a beauty to grief. Whenever I've been in it, there's a beauty there. And yeah, it hurts, but it's some kind of beautiful. It's hard for me to explain. Maybe you understood that when you've been in grief yourself. But there is a beauty, especially if your grief is totally about that you really love somebody. There's a beauty there. I would be very concerned with myself if I didn't feel grief when I lost somebody. As for anger, well, there's plenty of that in the world right now. There's plenty to make us angry, right? Unfortunately, we seem to be angry with each other. Differences in perspective on politics and religion, vaccines, social mores, the war in Ukraine. We don't need to stop having a point of view. We just need to let go of our attachment to it, to our attachment to being right. Some of my best conversations are with someone with whom I disagree. And some of my worst ones, too. I try not to have those anymore, but sometimes. Lent is a good time to contemplate and then decide to let go of being right. Instead, let's be curious. I know how hard this is. There are topics where I've spent several hundred hours studying and reading, and I'm talking to someone who hasn't studied at all, and they think I'm completely wrong. But I can't change that. So I have to let go. We need to get past, we, meaning me also, get past the wall of needing to be right and learn to be curious and to listen. Tough lesson sometimes, isn't it? Because we all have our topics that we're passionate about. During my Lent, my time of fasting from sugar, I've been feeling some pressure lately, some internal pressure. It's not an unpleasant pressure, it's more of a gentle nudging that keeps nudging, and it's to let go completely, to surrender everything to God. It begins with willingness. So the question I have to ask myself is, am I willing to let go? That doesn't mean I've done it yet. The first question is, am I willing? And you ask yourself that question, and you feel for a yes. Does a yes come, or are you going, no? Then you keep asking. And you might do it day after day until you feel the clearance, and it'll come. And you get the yes. And so once you are willing, then the next step is to create an intention. I intend to let go. That doesn't mean you've actually done it yet. You've intended to do it now. So I intend to let go. And then next, probably the toughest step, is commitment. That I'm committed to letting go. You've made a decision. When I avoid snacks during Lent, it's not that difficult because I made a commitment. I made a decision to do that. I'm clear about what I want. From commitment and the practice of living that commitment, we evolve to a place of certainty. That is, we live in certainty that I trust in whatever you would call it, God, my higher self, my inner voice, all of the above. I trust that God, the source, will meet my needs. And I am certain that I live, move, and have my being within the embrace of God's unconditional love. So that certainty only comes through practice. And the practice comes from the commitment. It's doing it every day. From certainty, we move to reliance. That is, we rely on God, our source, or whatever you call it. We rely on God for everything. It doesn't mean you don't ever do anything. It means that you only do what you feel guided to do, because you've learned to rely on God. You now rely on your inner voice, the still small voice of spirit within you. I've practiced this certainty and reliance often in my life. When I speak, when I write, when I pray ahead of time to get through a situation, I always feel supported and guided. But this inner pressure, my inner voice is saying, you got to do more than that. Surrender everything, all of it. All worry, all doubt, all opinions, all negative thoughts and emotions, all condemnation and judgment. Let it all go. So why do I hesitate? Why have I hesitated? Well, when are you giving up? What's the price of complete surrender? Well, it costs me my ego need to control things, which, you know, is BS because you don't really have control over anything, right? So it costs me the payoff I get, though, from judgment and blaming. It costs me the drama in which I so often immerse myself. Are those really tough prices to pay? What's the benefit of letting go? Certainty, reliance, unity, peace, freedom, joy, the experience of unconditional love. Wow, all of that. Seems like we'd all be rushing to surrender, right? Unity Church, New Thought teachings, A Course in Miracles, A Course of Love, all of these lead us to this very thing, surrender. Go through them. Read Charles Fillmore, or Emily Cady, or Imelda Shanklin, or Emma Fox. Read A Course in Miracles, or A Course of Love. Explore other New Thought writers like Ernest Holmes. Follow the teachings of Yogananda. Whatever path you would walk, they all end up at the same place. Complete surrender. Let it go. They all teach that. Letting go, surrender. That's where they end up. So, how do I do this? Well, for me, it's recognizing negative emotion when it comes up every day. And not trying to get rid of it. Not telling myself, oh, I shouldn't think that way because it's not spiritual. Or I shouldn't think that way because I'm letting it go. It's not about thinking at all. It's about what you're feeling. Yeah, let go of the thoughts, but the feeling has to be felt. And actually the last week, I had quite a bit of this. I had some I would say, tough days. And days where I felt depressed or very sad or even despairing. So what do? Just feel it. Accept that the feeling is here now. I don't need to feed it with thoughts, but focus on what it feels like in my body. Focus on that. Walk with it, sit with it, whatever I'm doing. Just experience the feeling. And what I find when I do that it passes. I accept, and then I embrace it. In other words, I just love it. Give it all my love. hold it in my embrace, because it's part of me right now. And if I'm disapproving of a feeling that I have, then I'm disapproving of myself. And that just makes things worse. That's more resistance. So embrace it, love it, surround it with love. Say to the feeling, going back to the David Hawkins stuff I said, bring it. Oh, feeling sad right now, bring it. I'll feel more sad if that's what I need to do, bring it. Feeling despairing, bring it. It's okay. I'm ready. And feel it. And when you do that, you realize that it's just a feeling, right? You can feel totally depressed, step outside of yourself and say, okay, I'm feeling depressed. I can't say I am depressed. It's not who I am. It's part of me. It's what I'm feeling. It's an experience. I can say I'm sad, but really I'm experiencing sadness, or I'm experiencing anger. And so I accept the anger and I embrace it. I'm pretty good at that one, especially when I'm driving. I'm sure I told you that one before, that if somebody cuts me off in the car and I get angry, I'm angry for about 10 seconds. And I might even swear under my breath if nobody else is in the car. And then it's gone. I let it go. Because I don't resist it. I don't tell myself I shouldn't be angry. I just recognize, okay, I was angry. That person's gone now. Let them go on their way. Bless them. Move on. That's really how feelings are meant to be felt. They come in, you let them go. They flow through you. And so they're not meant to be held onto. But we tend to hold on to them, to resist them, to cover them up. There's whole industries dedicated to covering up our emotions, to our feelings. Alcohol, drugs, foods, bad TV, all kinds of stuff we use to cover up emotion. It's not necessary. It's the experience of life. It's part of you. So feel it, surrender it. And you can do that in any given moment throughout your day. You're driving, you're walking, you're sitting at home in a chair or on your couch. You wake up in the morning, lying in bed, and you feel something, right there. Go to work on it. Letting go, surrender. The path is your choice. But you must first be willing to walk it. So the question that I have for you today is, are you willing? Thank you. And now we will do some letting go through our meditation. Find yourself in a comfortable position. I recommend both feet on the floor, but if you prefer another position, that's fine. Whatever works for you. Spine as straight as you can make it. Chin up, parallel to the floor. And breathe deeply. Hold the air down to your stomach. Hold it a second. Let it go. Breathing in through your nose if you can. Breathing out through nose and mouth, whatever works best for you. Breathing in. Holding, letting go. Breathing in, holding a second, letting go. Continue breathing in, holding, letting go. Focus on the breath. It is written in the book of Genesis that Elohim, God, breathed life into the first human soul. So with your in-breath, God, the Creator, the universe, is breathing life into you. Receive that breath, that life. Receive the gift of life. Let it flow down into your stomach area. Hold it in gratitude, then let it go. Breathing in, God's unconditional love. Breathing out, letting go of all that is unnecessary, all that is no longer needed, all that does not serve you. Breathing in, holding in gratitude for a second, letting go. Breathing out. with each in-breath, let yourself feel the unconditional love of God, the love of the universe, embracing you, filling your mind and your body with love, permeating your soul and your spirit, enlivening and energizing you. Feel that enlivening now. Let yourself feel it. And feel the gratitude of life. And then let it go. Let go of all that bothers you. Let go of all stress, physical, mental, emotional. Let it go. Imagine now a ball of glowing light in your heart center, expanding outward, moving through your body, expanding into your chest, your stomach, your arms and legs. And as it does so, that which is not needed, that which is not love, is now being pushed out of your body. For a moment, let your hands dangle by your sides and shake your hands a little bit. And let that stuff you don't need flow outward. Let it go. If you want to move your feet a little bit, you can do that too. But just let it go. Move your hands, shake the hands a little bit. Feel the tension. Feel the hurt, the anger, the upset, whatever it may be. Feel it leaving you now. And feel yourself breathing in, filling up with more love, more blessings. Feel the joy, the love, the abundance, and beauty flowing into you now. Feel your hands now vibrating, energized now. Feel your whole body vibrating in love. You are vibrating now to the tune of love, to the tune of joy, abundance, and beauty. You are filled with love and light. You are filled with God. God expresses through you and as you. I want you to repeat in your mind after me each phrase that I say now. Repeat this in your mind. The healing power of unconditional love bathes my spirit, soul, mind, and body. It enlivens and energizes me. It heals me and makes me whole. I rise up today, now, in clarity and confidence. And I embrace the love that embraces me. I embrace my health and my wealth. I embrace my wholeness and my purpose. I embrace who I am. This I know. And so it is. Thank you, God.
And our thoughts are prayers. Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers, take charge of what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness. Every thought becomes a prayer.
Thank you for that wonderful message. We heard the theme was surrender, so this tune is by Annie Burns. It's called Surrender. The wind is falling through the trees, calling out to me. If I seek, then I shall find. I dream of places in my life, a love that's passed me by, all the times that I have cried. I am dancing and turning toward the sun, and I move to the beating of the drum. Life will give unto me all I need, all that I
announcement. In May, Saturday, the 21st, there's going to be a Deaf Cafe. We're going to host over at the fellowship office at 2 o'clock. So just wanted to mention that, and if you have any questions, ask me after service. It's just a casual conversation about just anything relating to death, and it's actually, it's not a grief counseling type of thing, but it's actually, it should be more, people leave feeling more uplifted. So hopefully that you'll join us. Thanks.
If you like the prayer that we did at the end of the meditation, I have it in little pieces of paper out there on my table, so you can grab them.
This has been a wonderful, wonderful service, and again, thank you for being here this afternoon. Your loving presence is what it takes to make our community strong and come together, and we can join each other in this at this time every Sunday. And thank you for watching virtually as well. We welcome you in. Thank you to our wonderful musicians, Corey and Tino. Thank you, Samantha, for all of your works with the sound and with and thank you, Bill, for your many, many wonderful reminders and at a really timely as well, season-wise and with our Taylor passing. So thank you so much. Now we're going to stand together and make our beautiful peace circle. A peace circle, and we're going to sing for peace and feel that in our hearts. This world needs it so much. So let's sing out loud, and then we'll do our closing blessing at the end.
Wherever we are, God is, and all is well, and that's the truth.